Okay, I want to describe how my mother's ex-boyfriend drove me crazy. Now, one thing I want to get across immediately is that this is an odd story. People always ask, what did he do to you? I never met him. Did you think he might be your father? Okay, this is the sort of thing that I get asked, which is irrelevant. And this is because this is a very, very bizarre story. I was about 5 or 6 years old. And people have been telling spook stories about ESP, premonitions and things like that. Okay. And my mother told me I had a terrible experience with it. I'll tell you about that. Now, let's stop right there. A mother has had a terrible experience. Does her early elementary school age child need to know about this experience? Will the child benefit by knowing about a mother's terrible experience? Okay, that's right there. Now, then when she tells me about it, she says she looked into this man's eyes and she thought, this is the one. This is the one. And she told me it turned out not to be the one. And the thing about that is, that's not ESP. That has to do with a physical attraction that didn't work out. Okay, but here again, you can see people will say, well, you seem very intelligent, as if intelligent people can't be mentally ill. But in the environment that I was in, intelligence worked against me. Intelligence worked to help drive me crazy because I could see that it had nothing to do with the one thing and nothing to do with the other. But my mother couldn't see that. Okay, now, moving on. She and this man had 3 dates. They didn't have any sexual activity. But when he stopped calling, she had what amounted to a nervous breakdown or something very close to it. She couldn't sleep. She cried incessantly, that whole 9 yards. And the thing about it is, she perceived herself as being in love with a man she barely knew. I mean, they'd only seen each other 3 times. But the common perception that women cannot separate sex and love led my mother to believe that a powerful physical attraction is the same thing as romantic love, something which should, come gradually. Now, people have wondered why it is that I don't seem to be affected by time the same way as other people. Okay, I had to get upset about my mother's ex-boyfriend, which had been close to a decade in the past when I was 5 years old, and then it's decades later, and she sings about him. She points out men who look like him. Whenever I suffer a rejection, she makes that rejection 10,000 times worse by comparing it to her rejection by this man. To this day, I cannot say his name comfortably. I have asked men who have the same name, a man who has the same name, to let me call him by the first letter of his name, because the name bothers me so much. Okay, and I know this is, again, I'm trying to emphasize that this is a strange story. But I was haunted by this man throughout my life, and I never met him, and I certainly never thought he could be my father. But I had to hear about him. And I had to get upset about it because my mother had been upset by it. Hope you like hearing that.